La zona blanca.
Hello, welcome to this week's program. We're talking about the serious case of bullying. Bullying is something which is prevalent in society. We often associate it straight away with young people and schools and situations where children might be involved. But bullying has far bigger connotations. It's an action which can permeate adult life, and people who are bullies when they're younger may even be continuing that well into their adult years. What are the causes of bullying? How does it emerge? What are its salient factors? What are its kind of symptoms? These are all issues which are much more for perhaps psychologists to unpick, and for sociologists and anthropologists. Today our look is going to be primarily through the lens of young people and their attitudes and their views and perhaps experiences of bullying. I have with me in the studio some gentlemen who've been with us before in other programs, Ramiz, Hamza, Fazabas and Ammar. Welcome to the show, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Okay. Before we go into our discussion around bullying and how it might particularly affect Muslim young people in this country, we're going to see a short video which gives us an idea about some of the issues surrounding bullying.
Hi, I'm Marcos and I'm a bully. This is the place where me and my mates hang out after school and we play football and stuff. I started bullying this boy when we were playing football and I was just about to score, but then he kicked the ball away. So every day I waited in the playground for him so I could hurt him and stuff. Barged him, kicked him, punched him, called him stupid idiot, idiot boy, geeky boy. Everyone thought that he was a weak kid. And then I thought that was funny whenever I was laughing at him. And like made me feel bigger, like we was pushing him about. Yeah. I didn't really think like how badly I was bullying him until his mum came and told me stuff. And she said that how he's coming home and he doesn't want to do nothing. And he doesn't want to come to school. The words that she said, I didn't realise I was hurting him so much. From there on, I just didn't feel right, and then I just didn't bully him anymore. I shouldn't have done it. I feel ashamed. To me, a bully is like a normal child, but he gets hurt by someone else and wants to take the pain out on other people, so he's not alone, like he wants other people to feel how he feels. If you're being bullied, tell a friend, teacher, parent, or guardian, youth worker, anyone, because the boy who I was bullying told his mum and she stopped me. And if you're a bully, you should stop and think how much you're hurting them, because you might not realise how much you're hurting them inside or how much you're hurting yourself.
If you're being bullied, need advice, or just want to talk, you can call Childline free on 0800 1111.
Welcome back to the show. You've just watched a video which gives you a clear idea of how bullying impacts some youngsters in school situations and how it can often go undetected. It's a dangerous issue because young people are particularly vulnerable and not necessarily going to confront or deal with the issues. There are issues of peer pressure, not looking like you're going to be the grass, not looking like you're going to be telling on other people. And there's also pride. Young people have pride, and that may mean that they don't want to share the incidents that are going on. And if bullying is continuing on a very, very subtle level over a period of time, it can be extremely damaging on so many levels, not only in terms of their confidence, their self-esteem, but also in terms of their ability to really feel like they even want to go out and socialize. So a huge issue around bullying. And with me today, I've got a few youngsters who are going to open up on this issue and hopefully pull no punches. But I'm going to let any one of you guys start. What's your thought around bullying? And first of all, have you ever experienced any bullying around the table?
Yeah. No, well, personally, I haven't experienced any such case of bullying. Where I think that every day you're faced with peer pressure, which I feel is also a form of bullying, because it's making you conform to the norm and kind of change to suit other people's opinions. So I think if you regard that peer pressure as bullying, then I guess everyone faces that every day.
So sort of competitiveness, bullying perhaps on a psychological level for you to achieve really good grades. Is that bullying or is that just encouragement?
I think if it's in the end for the better, then I think it would be more encouragement rather than kind of you're getting pushed just in the right direction. If you're having to change your opinion for a completely different opinion that you may not agree in and may not necessarily be for the betterment of you, then I think that would be wrong. I don't think that would be encouragement.
How about you, Hamza? What do you think about bullying?
I'm sorry, because I was, to a certain extent, bullied in my young years. I'm kind of, I don't know how to respond. I did suffer some, and it was, I'm not 100%, but there was an element of race brought into it. I later found out, although it was nothing direct to me. And there were a lot of factors which the bully had a lot of, there were a lot of factors which affected him before anything came to me that initially you think, oh my God, he's bullying me. He's a bad guy, but then you have to think that, as like the video says, that there can be other reasons why said bullying is occurring. And
how did it start? How did it start?
Completely unexpected, just abnormalities in class. These started turning to inconveniences, kind of affecting my learning, so like my book would go missing, things like that. They were small things, but they were things which caused a hitch in my learning. And it came to a point where I wasn't going to get in trouble for doing something I hadn't done. I leave a book at home, and I did say that, okay, something's going wrong here. And it did get sought after. And although I have to admit that I suffered a very minor form of bullying, as opposed to, say, what the video showed, very punching, pushing, kicking. I had to deal with it in a more, I suffered from a more systematic, if that, not systematic, but indirect.
How did you feel?
Not sad or depressed like they were in the video, like they suggested. For me, it was just more inconvenience that, oh my God, it's happened again, let's tell someone. That was what I said, that by a few weeks in, okay, let's just deal with it. Eventually, things behind the scenes got so bad that they ended up digging themselves into a hole. And then the entire of my head of year got caught into it. From what would have been such a minor case as my book getting lost, ended up turning into what was an indirect racist incident. Which, although I can't say it was racism against me, it was racist to a degree where a Muslim would find it unsavory. So
was it dealt with well?
Yeah, it was overdone in my opinion, because I actually was not aware of what was happening until after I was called in and said, "Say, you know this is happening to you." I'm sorry, what? You know this is happening to you? No, I'm not really. I don't know what's going on here. And they had to brief me for 30 minutes as to what was going on.
What did happen? What did they do? What did the authorities do to the bully?
They suspended him for 3 days, and I think it was more hurrah for class because he was more of an inconvenience than he was a help to the class. But I mean,
did it work for him? Did he stop bullying after that?
Stop? I can't say for sure. I mean, sure there was that small gap of a few weeks that it didn't happen, which normally happened whenever I did raise an alarm. But a few weeks after that, when it would have resumed, I actually left school. I was changing schools. I was already pre-planned. So it wasn't affected by the bully, don't get the wrong idea. It was just that better opportunity elsewhere, so I decided to go there.
Sure.
This was an add-on.
So you didn't get a chance to see whether he would have carried on afterwards?
Absolutely not. So
did he ever apologise to you?
My memory doesn't serve me to say yes. But most of the time when I've seen such incidents occur, because I've quite often seen a third-person view of what's going on, it does look forced. That the teacher said, go apologize, and they do. And either
Plastic
A, they stay off because they know they get in trouble if they do it again, or B, it will resume. So
I'm going to come back to some of these other incidents. Anybody else have some stories about bullying that they've come across?
Yeah, I did get bullied at one stage. And so it was at the start of year 7, so I'm entering high school. The first few days were great. I remember I was elected form secretary. I had this and that. I was doing great. And then it just started to change gradually until it got like really, really bad. So it was all right. It was really good at first, but then it all turned to doo-doo. So yeah, I think that the prime reason for it is I thought myself, I don't know if it's true or not, it's jealousy. I thought.
Jealousy.
Jealousy, because I was achieving a lot in just a week. I had achieved a lot. I was elected form secretary, and I was en route to getting like certificates, this and that, and it all changed. And this affected me academically, at home, all of it.
How did it affect you?
So academically, as in I wasn't doing as greatly as I was before in that week. So after that, you know, I didn't want to like wake up in the morning because I have to wake up very early to go to school. I have to wake up at 6 and take the bus at 7. So I thought that it was just a big waste. I don't know why I'm getting up this early, this and that. But the problem was, the thing that I did, which I know was very wrong, was I didn't tell anyone. So also it's very hard to tell someone because everyone was doing it. You know, so like...
to you or to each other?
To me. Mm. So it would be like 28 out of 30 people doing it.
Good Lord. So, so did you tell anybody?
No, not even my parents.
You didn't?
No.
Not at any stage?
No.
So it just continued?
But it did stop. I don't know how, I can't recall, because I think what happened was one boy said that he'd be my friend, and this kid was very popular in my form. He was popular throughout the school, so if he's my friend, then everyone would stop, like, you know.
They stopped then?
They stopped, alhamdulillah.
So why didn't you
But that's not to say that it's still happening today. Mm. It happens, but not as much as it used to back then.
Okay, so why didn't you tell anybody? What was the reason?
Why didn't I? Honestly...
What stopped you from sharing that with either teachers or parents?
I don't know, to be honest. I don't know why I wouldn't tell anyone. It's just like, it was... I don't know why, but there was an element of embarrassment in there. Mm. Yeah.
Well, that's understandable. It's like you don't want to be grassing people up maybe as well, and just you think it's maybe cowardice. Did you think it might be cowardly to tell?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you're put in that situation, I assume that you'd feel that I can cope with this myself, and I should be able to. I'm however old I am, and you have a sense of weakness if you kind of ask other people for help. You feel that you're not able to cope with anything yourself. I think that's what most people would be feeling. What
were the signs? I mean, was the symptoms? Do you think at home, if your parents or anybody else had any chance to suss out that something was wrong, would it have been easy for them to work it out from your behaviour at home?
No, because the thing was, I'd go to school and I'd come home, and I'd be glad that I was going home now. I'd be away from school and this and that. So I personally think that would have been pretty hard for them to see, like, you know, he's all right. His grades are all right. They're not good, they're not bad, but they're not as excellent as they used to be. So, you know, I guess they could have judged it from that.
From the grades going down?
The grades going down, yeah.
And did you recover after a while? How long did it take?
One more thing I want to say is that they were saying in the movie that there were reasons for why people got bullied, and it's like because people, they're getting, like, one person's getting hurt, so he's hurting another person. Not necessarily. I personally thought that the reason I was getting bullied was because that it was kind of like a pastime. There was someone to pick on. It's funny. It's good. Like, if I push him, everyone will laugh. So, like, it will make me popular, and everyone will be, like, laughing at him. So, I'll be like the comedian. So, everyone can do it to me.
Okay. Did it create fear? Were you scared?
I was definitely scared, yeah. I was scared of going into the form room. I was scared of, like, because doing PE was another thing, because we used to do rugby. And, like, I'm pretty big. but I might look big, but I'm not that strong. So I was scared of rugby because I would be put like with, there's this one boy who does ice hockey, so you know he has to be bulky, strong, massive,
Quite hard,
hench, yeah, for ice hockey. And he'd always choose me like that. And because I'm big, all the teachers would think, oh yeah, he's big, he'll be fine. And I had bruises and lumps, I'd say that, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was upsetting as well.
So it was difficult for teachers to pick up on this as well? Or did anybody suspect anything? Did any teacher ever ask you or sense it?
No, I don't.
No. Was there any reason for them to be able to pick it up, do you think?
Any reason for them to pick up?
Were there any evidence, any symptoms, anything that you should have given them a clue? I'm trying to just get into how, as a teacher.
I think if they'd seen it, then I think something would have happened.
But they never saw?
I don't think they would have, because...
Well, that makes it all the more dangerous that it's happening, but it sort of sounds to me like it can be happening so openly, and yet nobody really...
Yeah, exactly. That's true, yeah.
And it's in broad daylight, and it's almost kind of... it's psychologically damaging, it's physically scary, it's depressing. But was there any... Would you have said that you were depressed by it? I mean, a lot of people don't even know what depression is. Did you feel really down?
I wasn't depressed in that sense, like, not medically depressed. I was more, in the mornings I'd be down, in school I'd be down, but I'd get home and I'd be happy because my family, they're always there for me.
What would you advise now, for somebody in a similar situation, what would you say to any
The
youngsters?
one mistake I made was I didn't tell anyone. So no matter what, just pick yourself up and tell someone. Yeah, definitely.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that. That's a kind of that's a very brave thing to do there, Amara, and it's important that we share this sort of thing because we don't know how many kids are going through this kind of thing, and parents don't know. And it's not necessarily because we're Muslim or because we're Pakistani. I think that English kids are also going to be suffering from bullying. It's just one of those things which is seriously out there in society, and we have to sort of really look at what's going on in society, why there's a bigger incident of this going on. But do you have any opinions on bullying and any experiences?
Not personal experiences, but I think there's a new term going on called banter. Yeah. I think banter and
banter.
Bullying. So just jokingly name calling and kind of just. It could be classed as bullying, but I'm not sure where the line is. But maybe
it's not physical, but it's verbal.
Yeah. So maybe what I was talking about that how you couldn't tell anyone. Maybe it's because he was forced to believe that it was banter and not bullying. So I think there could be like a line.
It's like nowadays it's used interchangeably, which I think that's a problem because banter is it's funny. It's like joking around, you're good. You maintain good relations with that person, but bullying is obviously completely opposite. The person feels down. They might go into depression. They feel sad. They'll physically and mentally they're hurt. That's why I think the word when it's used interchangeably, then it like begs the question: where's the line? And I think that's a large problem which causes bullying.
So this banter, is it something that people are picking up? Where are youngsters picking this up from? Is it something which is perhaps from the home, or do you think it's also the culture that's out there? Because one of the things that I've noticed is that these days, if you're going to be perceived as being hard and tough, it means you've got to be almost rude. Yeah. The language style, the way you carry yourself, it has to be aggressive, it has to be strong, it has to be, you need to be worried about me. So everything is against the idea of showing any kind of emotional intelligence, being subtle, being nice. Being nice is not a good idea, it seems. Is that something that's out there amongst young generation?
Well, I think the idea of being hard, if you have a violence to your nature, then people would automatically feel a little bit scared and like which way is better to protect yourself from them than becoming their friend and becoming an ally, as to speak. So I think to prevent yourself from becoming one of those who can get picked on, who can get hurt or anything, then people become their friends. And when such a person has so many friends, then there's very few which he can pick on. And I think that those kind of single out the victims in these cases.
The thing about Islam is that akhlaq is one of the central aspect of Muslims' behavior, if you like, or the Prophet's behavior. We've talked about it many times on Ahlebait TV. The akhlaqiyat came even before the Holy Quran, because the Prophet, peace be upon him, taught with his good manners and good etiquette. Do you think good etiquette and good manners of the Islamic variety, and perhaps even the Christian variety or the Jewish variety, because I'm sure that all those manners and those etiquettes and those good behavior elements are things that human civilization agrees on. Do you think that there's any way that we as Muslims can help in this situation around akhlaq and etiquette and manners?
Help against bullying?
Yeah.
That's a tough question. Well, I guess you can always come with the entire, for a Muslim view, like haqqun nas, which shows help people, things like that. Specifically, I don't think, other than by following the guidelines that if this happens, do X, Y, Z, which aren't necessarily Islamic, but they're more logical, frankly. So from an Islamic point of view, I don't think there's much to be done that can't be done from other standpoints. So an atheist can respond in the same way a Muslim does, to be, as far as I can see.
Yeah. But the toolkits, I'm now thinking about defense against bullies and bullying and even recognition of it. In the madrasa, do you get this kind of teaching, or within the mainstream schools, PSCG lessons, is there any focus on these practical issues about bad manners and about dealing with things like jealousy, as you said, or about bullying per se?
Well, obviously we do in PSC lessons. We get taught, say, once a fortnight. But I think putting it into practice is the hard bit. You can get taught everything in the book, but putting it into practice, when you're put under the pressure, when people are calling you names, then you actually get the feelings that you were discussing in PSE. And I think that's when you really, I think everyone knows that if they're getting bullied, if you ask someone what's the first thing you do, tell someone, call a teacher or something. I think they know, but I think putting into practice is where you can't work on it. You can't have a lesson on putting into practice. It's all about like your personality, and if you feel that you can, you have, let's say, not the bravery, but you're open to share it with other people. So I think that's where we lack, and I don't think it's very hard to work on that. That's what I'm trying to say.
Characteristics that you think would be good to build in young people that would help to prevent bullying. Amar?
Characteristics to build.
It's a tough one.
I think one of the characteristics would be to always stay strong.
Courage.
Courage, bravery, stuff like that. And yeah, standing up for what's right is another one.
Justice.
Justice, yeah. Yeah, but you can't really be taught those kind of qualities. They come on their own,
exactly,
from what you've experienced.
But you can be aware of them.
You can be aware of them.
If you're aware that courage and bravery is something that is a noble thing, Imam Ali alayhi salam was courageous and brave. He would have stood up to bullies. The Umayyads were bullies in many ways. And we talked at the beginning of the show about bullying being something which can permeate into adult life as well. So within society, moving away from the younger issues, in society also we can sometimes bully people into believing what we want them to believe, bully people into obeying cultural norms that we adhere to, and we make other people adhere to them. We can bully as parents. We can bully young people into doing things which were our dream, like the adults trying to live through their young people. All of these things are wrong. So bullying isn't just constricted to somebody coming over and physically punching you. It can be also people making you do things which, as you said, are unreasonable, you know, and not necessarily part of the faith or part of any civilization, rule, regulation. But we feel we're obliged to follow them because the pressure of the majority is upon us. And then we stop speaking out and we allow that bullying to carry on. So psychological bullying, cultural bullying, social bullying, political bullying. I mean, on an international level, perhaps it's also there that we're seeing today sort of Syria being bombed. Perhaps that's or about to be launched at by the West. Is that bullying? Is that an international way of bullying people into doing what they want you to do? I think there's a big issue here. And courage, as you said, Amar, is often not just about going and taking the punishment, it's also about enlisting help. And I think that's the message I think we want to leave. Is at the end of the day, bullying of any kind can be stopped by, first of all, being aware that it's happening, understanding and recognizing it. Secondly, if you can't deal with it yourself, then enlist help and enlist support. That can come from parents, it can come from teachers, it could come from a community leader. There are all sorts of counseling lines and advice lines you saw earlier on the video clip. I think that on that note, I'm going to beg your leave, and until the next show, Assalamu alaikum, Khuda Hafiz.
La zona blanca.